They say everything's bigger in Texas, but the Texans ain't gonna be in Texans territory. This ain't nobody in Texas this week. You're in Jacksonville, baby. It's a crossover here. Locked On Jaguars and Locked On Texans.
You are Locked On NFL Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, man, it's crossover edition here on Locked On Jaguars and Locked On Texans. Crossover Thursday is presented by Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use the code Locked On NFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first dollar lineup, your first $5 lineup. I'm Tony Wiggins of Locked On Jaguars. He is John Hickman of Locked On Texans. First of all, hello, John. How you doing?
What's up, brother? You know I'm ready to talk ball with you.
Yeah, we're gonna give him a good crossover today here, man. All around the network, it is Crossover Thursday presented by Prize Picks. We appreciate that. Make sure you tap in each and every day wherever you get your podcast for both Locked On Jaguars and Locked On Texans so you do not miss an episode. All right, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to run it down in reverse order of everything that John and I are going to cover today for Week 3, Jacksonville hosting the Houston Texans. At the end, we'll give a game prediction, talk about what the winning formula is or formulas are, game-changing matchup. That's going to be in segment number 2. And the biggest storylines up top is what we're going to lead off with. We ain't going to bury the lead. What's going on with CJ Stroud? I'm going to just put it out there right now. What is going on with the quarterback and the offense?
Well, right now, they are experiencing a lot of newness and freshness. You know, first-year play caller in Nick Caley, who has the Patriot background, Rams background. They're figuring that out. And the other day, man, I flat out said it, hey, I don't think that they took the offseason as seriously as they should have in terms of bringing in some guys that you don't necessarily got to coach up or scheme up. Some of those guys just can come in and be game wreckers and breakers the day that they step on the field, and I'm speaking specifically to the IOL. Ed Ingram has played well in his first game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He wasn't out there in Week 1, but Thomason has been pretty bad. And then also the running back situation. Did they take that situation as seriously as they should have, knowing the extent of Joe Mixon's injury? Now we got Nick Chubb out there who's been fairly decent for Houston, but his numbers have been really RB2 numbers when you look at what he's been producing out there. So for Houston, I see 3 things. I'm going to pass it back over to you. I see a quarterback that is so scared to hit, he's not letting it rip like he did in his rookie year and parts of last year, can still make every throw, but not the throw he needs to make when it's time to make it. I see an offensive line that's going through growing pains. Ariante Ursary, can't wait to see that battle between him and Trayvon Walker, who, by the way, I mean, he put it all together, right?
He been had it together. They've been slipping on it, man.
Yeah, I think year 2 was for him last year, right?
No, that was year 3.
Year 3. So yeah, last year I think that's when he really came on. But I also see a secondary, especially at the safety position, that hasn't been in the position that they needed to be in a very undisciplined team. 11 penalties in the first game. They cut that down, but then they also missed 19 tackles. This is a team that is all over the place and is very dysfunctional and chaotic.
Yeah, man. They got a lot of talent, though. When I watch them, I'm like, ooh. You look at Nico and you look at – I like Ursula even though he's young. He's mostly going to be matched up with Josh Hines-Allen, but you look at Stingley and the way that all of those dudes play it and the young safeties. And you see them flying around. And now, granted, they played 2 tough opponents. The Jaguars are 1-2. I mean, 1-1 after 2 games. And Cincinnati is a tough opponent because they have high-end players at certain positions, but they're not a complete team. Carolina is really one of the worst teams in the league, and you saw it. The Jaguars pretty much dominated the game. Right. But the Jaguars should be 2-0. And I'm going to tell you, I don't reduce things down to one call, but I will tell you things that happened in the last couple of minutes of the game are unfair because you can't ever come back from it. And Travis Hunter played teach tape type textbook, if you will, corner on that deep route, and it was not a flag, bro.
That was frustrating to watch.
Yeah, it just wasn't a flag. So you tell players to go out and make plays, and the refs say they're going to leave it in the hands of the player. That was bogus. It was 1,000% a good defensive play. And it's what the Jaguars really were aiming to do, because when you take Joe Burrow out, now you have a less talented quarterback. So what do? You blitz him, and then you make him make difficult throws in man coverage because he's not as talented as a dude. What do we always hear? You can't blitz Peyton Manning. You can't blitz. There's certain guys you can't blitz. They'll eat you alive, right? So the reason why that is said that way is because if a guy isn't talented, you are supposed to be able to blitz him and make him make a tough throw and make him process really, really fast, like a player who not unlike a player who's super, super talented. So there were people thinking, why would you do that? Why would you do that? The last thing you want to do to a dude that's a career backup and all he does is study is sit in the zone. Wear you out. You don't do that. So you have to make guys that are less talented do things that really, really talented people can do. And they just basically got gypped. The Jaguars should be a 2-0 team that still has questions. And those questions are the biggest storylines for me. Trevor Lawrence is completing 59% of his passes. I don't care why the reason. I don't care about drops. Drops make you go from 69 to 63. Drops don't make you go from 64, 65 to 59. I'm just saying 59 is low when you consider the drops. Even if you put the drops at 5 or 6, it doesn't knock you down that low. So he has to be more accurate. For all of those questions about him to go away, you'd have to be blind to not see that he's actually improved. And the Jaguars' offensive line continues to be so dominant compared to the years past. The big storylines is, can they continue that against those good edge rushers that you have? Because you would think with Stingley and company, they'll cover a little bit longer. So those are the big storylines, man. It looks like both of us have things to think about. We're going to get into the game-changing matchups, the specific things by both teams here in segment number 2 on a crossover presented by Prize Picks between the Jaguars and the Houston Texans. All right. Mazda Crafts is for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, and with more IIHS top safety awards than anyone else as of August 2025. From footwork to breath work, athletes sweat all the details, right? Everything. Mazda brings the same attention to how we craft every model. You can feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. You can also make everyday drives feel like anything but everyday, from smooth handling to intuitive controls. With all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like our players, we sweat every detail, man, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. All right, we're moving and grooving here on crossover between John.
I got a question for you too.
Yeah, what is it?
You know, you talk about the biggest storylines, man.
You're just gonna cut me off. I ain't even finished yet.
And we've been doing this for 6 years, but I'm gonna let you know this may be the worst I've been feeling, because I drafted a guy early in my fantasy draft in a couple of drafts, and I've been let down by Brian Thomas Jr. You talk about a big storyline. We can't just skip over 1,100-yard receiver in his rookie year who's seemingly having issues, don't want to go across the middle. Coach said that he was dealing with, I think, a wrist injury. Ball is hitting him in the chest. He can't come down with it. He costing me in fantasy. What's going on with BTJ, man?
I don't know. Don't nobody know what's going on with him. Leon Cohen said he had a talk with him this week, and Trevor Lawrence said, man, just give him some space. BT will be fine. Paraphrasing, of course. But I don't know, man. It looks like on a lot of these things now, there have been a couple of instances where, okay, it does look like he ducked. It does look like he was anticipating getting hit, because it happened a couple of times to him in the preseason, right? So I think it's a combination of running routes that he didn't run last year, trying to figure out whether to keep going or to sit down. And that goes with the communication. So there are some of these, not all of them. A couple of them now, I know he's got to answer for them, and I can't speak for him, right? They're catchable balls, and he's just not, his body is not responding. And so that means that he's preoccupied, right? So Some of them, though, aren't what they seem to be. One interception the other day, he went across the middle. He absolutely did the right thing by stopping right and sitting down. Trevor continued to lead him. By the time he realized it and went to go back, I think he tried to not tip the ball. So it ended up being an interception. There's so many things, but the thing is if it looks like the transgression, people are going to just assume that it's just another transgression, or he's not, whatever it is, he's not playing well. And he's going to have to snap out of it quick, fast, and in a hurry, because if he doesn't, they don't have a problem going to other receivers on this team because everybody that they have in that room can play.
Yeah, it seems like everybody else has a good connection with Trevor Lawrence. So Trevor Lawrence has a good connection with everybody else but BTJ. But I need for him to bring it along. Hopefully not against the Houston Texans on Sunday. Hopefully that's not his breakout game. But if it is, it may help you out in my fantasy. But some of the game-changing matchups is really what I'm looking forward to, which is why I want to kick it off with BTJ, because if he's getting going, you're getting a guy who can fly down the field, who can really create busted coverages and give Trevor Lawrence some help deep. And he's also, I think he did a better job his rookie year in terms of anticipating. My anticipation of him underneath as well. But the weapons around Trevor Lawrence all together, which hopefully one day it'll be led by BTJ, there seems to be just an improvement.
It is.
Guys
faster.
Balling right now.
Everybody's faster. And that speed shows up because now they're not getting hit as soon as they touch the ball, whether it's the running backs, wide receivers are blocking down the field. There's just explosiveness. De'Ami Brown, Travis Hunter, Parker Washington, who's already been on the team, but it was the star camp. And then you look in the backfield, Bayshaw Tootin, the running back, fastest guy on the team, has a lot of juice. ETN is healthy, and the running game has improved because of the offensive line. They have run for twice as many yards, more than twice as many yards as the defense has given up in the rushing department. So that tells you that they've been committed to it. That's what they wanted to do. They wanted to get better in that area. That's absolutely what they did. And I'm telling you, man, it is like night and day from last year in that respect. Now, this is a different animal because y'all can play up front. The speed, Danielle Hunter, Will Anderson, they're both good against the run and the pass. So while that's an advantage that I will probably, if I just look at the passing game, give it to Houston, because Trevor has had a few issues and they've had those communication issues. I think the key to the passing game is actually where I think the biggest matchup that favors Jacksonville is, and that is we are one of the top running teams in the league, and y'all look like one of the worst running defenses I've ever seen in my life the other night. Yeah. Because Tampa was literally getting 5-6 yards every time they wanted it.
Up the gut.
I think that is the key. I think taking advantage of that matchup, forcing those defensive ends to stay at home and have to keep themselves honest, that's where I think you can freeze them up and get some stuff going behind them.
Yeah, and right now, so the DNs play the run well, right? But those guys play the run on the outside with outside contain. You know, they don't want no running back to burst on the outside, nor do they want to get undisciplined. Then, boom, y'all hit them with a play action, and then you get a deep play down the field. So, like the DNs, the edge rushers, they're going to do their job. Where the issue has come about has been with the IDL, interior defensive line, where those guys – especially against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they were getting knocked back. By the time the linebacker tried to come up to make a play, they are already with a lineman in their lap, right? That was a problem against the Buccaneers. And when I was watching some of the highlights and some of the game footage from the Jaguars game this past week, I said, hey, man, I'm not necessarily too worried about their receiving threats. I think Stingley, who was a little bit banged up in the first game, he shut down Mike Evans Monday night. Kamar Lassiter had a bounce back game. I think those guys will be all right out there on the edge of the secondary.
The thing about
it's the idea that I'm scared of.
Yeah, the thing about the Jags receivers, though, is it's not necessarily about them beating you one-on-one down the field. It's about them getting the ball on jet sweeps and quick screens and slants, and then somebody missing a tackle. That's the thing. They got dudes that just turn into,
from Houston.
Yeah, they just got dudes that turn into instant punt returners as soon as they touch the ball, and they're all fast. So that part of it, I'm not too much concerned with. When I flip it over and look at the other side, I think the Jaguars defense has been lights out. They played well. They've had some stretches now where they gave up some stuff, and it looked like, oh my God, we got these holes on defense. We didn't fix this and we didn't fix that. And then you look up in the fourth quarter and the team got 200 yards. So you're like, well, we probably have been playing better than we think. It's just that they've turned the ball over. They've gotten pressures. Maybe I think they only have 4 sacks in 2 games, but they have been forcing quarterbacks to run for their life. And you can see that all over the tape, all over social media, especially when it comes to Trayvon Walker. He's just been a monster. So I think they'll do a good job, especially against the fact that y'all struggle on the offensive line. So I think they're going to have Anthony Campanile, I believe, has a game plan to have a lot of fun chasing CJ Stroud.
What I wanted to ask you is, what should Texan fans be worried about when it comes to the Jaguars defense? Like, not only just those 2 guys on the edge, like Houston got 2 guys on the edge, but for a struggling offense who hadn't been able to put it together for 4 quarters, 2 guys shouldn't be able to take you out, right? So what's going on at the second level? What's going on back deep at the third level of the Jags defense that even if Houston can neutralize Josh Hines and Trayvon Walker, they got to worry about other guys in other places?
Absolutely. The back 7 has been good. They're versatile. They do a lot of substituting in those spots. The leader is Foyesade Oluwakan, the middle linebacker who I believe over the last 4 or 5 years has led the NFL in tackles, not each individual year, but collectively with all of those years. So he's the leader. Eric Murray has played super, super well to the point where I have no idea why y'all let him go, but it is.
We missed him out here, man.
Man, Eric Murray has been really, really good, but
Houston legend.
The big time addition was Jordan Lewis from the Dallas Cowboys. He is everything you want in a secondary player, a leader. They play through the whistle. They always moving their feet. They always getting their hands involved in everything. Nothing is easy. That's why they got 3 interceptions just the other day, and that's why they're getting all of these turnovers, because they've been Johnny on the spot. What you won't do is break them. Tyson Campbell struggled some, and he's expected to be better than he has been. So that's one concern that Jaguars have. But I believe that if you have some success, don't sit there and be celebrating, because guess what? They got a short memory. They're going to come back and they'll be able to regroup really, really fast. And that's something that they've shown that they've been able to do. We're going to talk about the winning formula for both teams in just a second here on a crossover edition presented by Prize Picks with Locked On Jaguars and Locked On Titans, Locked On Texans.
Come on now.
All right, we're going to do 5-hour energy, man. 5-hour energy is the truth, man. And caffeine now just got a flavor upgrade with 5-hour energy shots. Tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee plus B vitamins and nutrients with zero sugar, that is, and 0 crashes. You ain't got to worry about sugar and you ain't got to worry about crashing. What I most love about them is how portable they are. They got big taste and they're little tiny shots. You can take it anywhere and get that boost whenever you need it. Y'all might not think podcasting is hard. Do it for 14 hours a day chasing a news cycle. You're going to need something to keep you woke in front of this computer. Enough with boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5-hour energy shots. Get the favorites you love, or be bold and try some new in-store and online at www.5hourenergy.com or at Amazon. And our show is sponsored today, of course, by Prize Picks. Come on, man. You know what it is. It's NFL season. Y'all trying to make some money with the best daily fantasy app. We're making all the right calls, can actually put some Skrilla in your pocket. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right means cashing in. With football back, Prize Picks is the simplest and fastest way to get in on the action. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections, and you can turn your takes into real prizes in less than 60 seconds. This week, I'm sure there's going to be something on there for those early games, like Houston and like Jacksonville. So whatever they say the touchdown total is for Trevor Lawrence, I'm going to go more then because I think that the Jaguars are going to have a good time. Download the Prize Picks app today and use the code Locked On NFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code Locked On NFL for $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right, we got the winning formula here, but first I'm gonna ask John for a winning formula on Prize Picks. What's your Prize Pick selection gonna be, dog?
Well, I'm gonna get back to my guy that's been letting me down in fantasy, Brian Thomas. Right now, more or less 68.5 receiving yards. I'm gonna take the more on that. Hopefully, he can get it going. Not only get me right in fantasy, but also get me right with some extra cash in my pocket. So,
all right, there you go. I like it. If that happens, as a part of the winning formula, the Jaguars will win this game because it sounds like to me that that's going to be a time for them to try to get that dude going. Right? They're fully in support of him. They need him. If we're going to be as good as we think, they need him to get going. They also need Trevor to get some chunk plays that are through the air as opposed to catch and run situations. I also think you're going to see Travis Hunter on defense a little bit more, just like you did last week in Cincinnati, and I think you're going to see him continue to make his way in that way. I just personally think the winning formula is you got to harass CJ Stroud. And there's a pathway to doing that because he's been getting harassed all year. And the Jaguars love pressure. They love exotics. They love bringing stuff when you don't think they're going to bring it. They'll blitz you. They'll have a safety blitz on third down. They'll send somebody up the 8 gap. They do a lot of twisting. And if your offensive line is struggling, you're going to struggle trying to stop it. So the winning formula actually lines up with what the strength of the biggest gap, the biggest discrepancy in strength versus weakness is the Jaguars front versus Houston's offensive line.
Yeah, man, and y'all have been playing a lot of cover 3, a lot of cover 4. The last 2 teams Houston has taken on, they played a lot of cover 3. Rams, Tampa Bay. Houston has not been able to get any explosive plays from that. So if the Jaguars come out with that same showing in front and the cover 3, cover 4 has kind of been split even, but if they come out with that cover 3, Houston has to find a way, which is we get a guy y'all know back very well. Christian Kirk back Sunday. Braxton Berrios back Sunday. Also, Houston starting center Jake Andrews will be back on Sunday, so he'll help with the communication with the offensive line, but they got to find a way to get the ball in the playmaker's hands underneath, right? If them corners are going to play back like that, then find a weak side of the field, play the flats if you need to, get some of those high-low concepts going, get the ball out, but get the ball out quickly. And if Houston can do that without CJ Stroud having to take on the amount of pressure he's been taking on the last couple of games with guys in his face, I think that's very much the key to winning this game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who, by the way, you and I like to keep it real when we talk to one another. Mm-hmm. I am not going to say I'm shocked or surprised. I think the most shocked, surprise, or whatever word we want to use that we can think of is Daniel Jones and the Indianapolis Colts.
Oh, yeah.
But the Texans and Jaguars play each other hard every time they play. The thing is, Houston has a 13-8 record against Jacksonville when playing on the road in Jacksonville. For some reason, they find ways to muster out a win. So CJ Stroud has to be better. The offensive line has to be better. They got a tough task. 3 weeks in a row, they got guys that's coming off the edge on the inside. It's very hard to stop. But get the ball out quickly and try to find ways to beat that pressure. They did very well with the screen game, introduced that a little bit more throughout the game. But by all means, keep Dare Ogunbowale off the field because that's going to continue to get CJ Stroud killed.
Yeah, I like that Marks kid out of the backfield. He's dangerous. And then Dalton Schultz. I think Dalton Schultz need to be a real good friend to CJ Stroud if they're going to win this game. But we ain't worried about it. I think they beat them 6 or 7 times here in a row. This is a new team, new direction, new attitude, new players. And ain't none of that stuff, none of that smoke from the past going to have any output or impact on this game. So I'm going to go ahead right now and give you a game prediction. I'm going to even give it to you with a score. Jaguars 30-13 over. Woo! I don't know what you're doing all that. I don't know what you're pulling your hat off for and doing all that yelling for. I'm just trying to tell you what it's going to be now.
If you think you're lonely now.
Mm-hmm.
All right. 32-13.
30-0 to 1-3.
Okay. So this was the game that I felt Houston should have no problem winning coming into the season, early in the season. Later in the season, I thought it would be a different subject. I'm still going to rock with my pick. The thing about Houston's defense, they only allowed 14 to the Rams, and it took the Buccaneers late in the game to go get 20. 7 punts or a missed field goal in a row after they scored their last touchdown in between the game-winning touchdown. So the defense, very bend, don't break. They're holding guys from getting into their red zone. I still believe that will be something that will help Houston against the Jags Sunday. I am going to go because of the defense and because they're getting guys back. I'm going to go 21-17 Houston.
I understand that. Now, I will admit I had a little bit of trepidation about picking the Jags, especially picking them with such a big gap, right? But the reason I did it is because, see, Houston has lost to 2 really good teams, and I think they're too good to be 0-3. But I believe had the Jaguars won that game last week, and even though they did everything to lose, they dropped the pass in the end zone with about 7 minutes to go. They dropped the ball that would have given them a first down. They could have run the clock out, and Cincinnati would have never got the ball back. And then they had the pass interference penalty. So I think because they lost that game like that and they know they let one get away, I think they come out hungry this week. And it kind of probably lit a fire in them that winning a game ugly or winning a game that you did everything to lose, but you were still too good to lose it and you went ahead and pulled it out. But then I think you might start feeling all puffed up, like, having popcorn muscles and they ain't got no weight on it. And then you come out here against a hungry team and get smashed. But I think that game woke them up a little bit. I think they realized they can't let opportunities get away in this league. And it did them a favor because Houston ended up losing the next day.
Two teams right now, like I said, Indy shocking us all. They lead the division. But 2 teams right now that everybody knows that the AFC South is the weaker, if not the weaker. It's the NFC South and the AFC South, 2 weaker divisions in the NFL. So the division is going to always be up for grabs. Anybody can get it. And I still think Houston will end up winning this division, though they can't go down 0-3. This is why I think this would be a tough competitive game. For Jacksonville, I look at a team that's kind of been somewhat of a laughingstock the last few seasons, right? And then for Houston, just going down 0-3 with all of the talent that you have, considering what some people may feel like is BS what you sold us in the offseason, that's just inexcusable.
Yeah.
And so they got to come out on fire, and they got to come out and get a dub. So I think this is going to be a tough game. That's why the 30-13, that's too far of a gap. This is 2 teams that absolutely need to get a dub. For Jacksonville, hey, listen, man, we one step closer to maybe gaining control of the division. For Houston, we cannot go down 0-3. We got to fight. We can't let ourselves down, which is why I think this should be an entertaining game.
All right, I got to correct you on one thing. We have not been the laughingstock of the league the last few years. Like, we went 4-13 last year. It went 9-8 2 straight years in a row. The 2 years before that, we have not been
the Urban Meyer thing was a problem.
That was 4 years ago. We the last 3 years we went 9-8 because that was Doug Peterson. 9-8, 4-13, and they got fired. So we have been kind of holding it down a little bit. Come on, John, give us a little bit of credit.
We've been laughing at y'all.
Yeah, okay. And we've been.
That's why we got to win, because I don't want to hear you laughing at us.
And you know what? Y'all been laughing at us, and guess what we've been doing? Holding that beer for y'all, waiting for y'all, and we laughing at y'all as y'all walking down that same road after you get your butt whooped in the playoffs.
Come on, Texans, please.
It's all good. But look, man, make sure you check both of us out and Locked On Jaguars and Locked On Texans, and then make sure you slide over to Locked On NFL. It's 2 shows. In the morning, Tyler Rowland, the man will wake you up like a double shot of espresso, and then you slide by the barbershop, man, and I give you the same stuff we give it now, except we use clips from the local hosts like John from around the National Football League, and let the local host tell the stories, and then we make comments on it. Y'all make sure you check out Locked On NFL wherever you get your podcast. For John Hickman, I'm Tony Wiggins. Thank y'all for joining us on the Thursday crossover presented by Prize Picks. We'll see you next time here on Locked On Texans and Locked On Jaguars.